So, thank you for your continuous support to UCA. And what role do you think UCA has played in uniting the Chinese community?
The United Chinese Americans have been very active in numerous issues. For instance, in getting an apology for the Chinese Exclusion Act. They came to me to carry this, and we worked together, and finally it was done. We worked together in fighting anti-Asian hate, and finally we got the COVID-19 hate crimes bill passed and signed into law because of that. And we fought the racial profiling of Chinese scientists and engineers. Finally, we were able to push to get this China initiative to end, which targeted those scientists and engineers. So these are a lot of great things that the United Chinese Americans have done.
And as the first Chinese American female congressman, do you think that as a minority woman have their living environment in today's America been improved and respected?
Well, there are many, many opportunities in America. And in America, you can get the education you need, you can enter into professions, you can be a business person and develop your ideas. But of course, there are always barriers, and it sometimes is harder for a woman to get the same kind of respect as a man, but things are improving greatly, and we see women advancing in this society to a great degree. We have to keep on trying.
Yeah. And we know that not long ago, you participated in a peaceful rally in front of the Capitol Hill in support of abortion rights.
Yeah.
You were also the only congressman who attended the rally and was eventually arrested by the Capitol Hill police.
Yeah.
So what made you want to stand up for them?
Because this is such an important right for women to have. We've had it here in the United States for 50 years, and it was very wrong for the Supreme Court to take it away. So I had to join with all those hundreds of other people, and in fact, 181 of us got arrested that day. So I was very inspired by the other people who were there with me, all standing up, raising our voices and saying, don't take this right away.
And what other advice do you have for the survival and the development of the Asian American community?
To be involved. It is to get involved with the issues, raise your voices, and make sure that you vote so that you are a power. And people respect those who can organize, who can have a big voice, and who have political powers. So that's why I say do all those things, and then you will be a very, very powerful force in this society.
There was a time when there were hardly any Chinese Americans that you would ever see on Capitol Hill, or any Asian Americans. And in fact, if you saw one walking down the hallway, you just had to turn around and look. It was so unusual. But to see all of you here in Washington, D.C., getting involved, getting to know the issues, and then meeting with Congress members, that is really tremendous. And I also understand you have a new program, the Youth Ambassadors, right? Yeah, no, that's really good, because we have to have a pipeline for leadership in the future. And that's what you are developing. Now, let me say why I appreciate the United Chinese Americans so much. When I first got elected, there was a group of Chinese Americans that came to me. And guess who was one of them? Judy May Chu. Yeah. And this group said, you know, there was the most discriminatory law ever passed in the United States, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Chinese Americans were made to be second-class citizens for 60 long years. And even though it ended, there was never an apology for it. Will you lead the effort for that apology? And I just have to say, yes. And so for 2 years, we worked together. And we educated the Congress members and the senators, because you know what? They didn't know a thing about it. And so we got them to agree to have the bill, host it, and go through the process. And guess what? In 2012, finally, we got the expression of regret, the apology for the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. But today we are facing so many other issues as well. You know how much we've been fighting anti-Asian hate. There have been 11,000 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents. And it has been very intense for the past 2.5 years, where there have been so many of them that Asian Americans were walking around saying, will I be next? And so we had to do something. And that's why we worked on legislation, the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, and it was allowed for a special prosecutor to prosecute hate crimes, as well as an improvement in how law enforcement deals with hate crimes, more training, and anyway, many things like that in it. And after a lot of hard work, guess what? President Biden signed the anti-hate crimes bill into law. And then there was racial profiling of Chinese American scientists and researchers. When we started hearing about the fact that innocent Chinese researchers and scientists were being arrested as spies for China without the evidence necessary, we thought that is so unfair and ruined people's lives. And so we worked on fighting these cases, and I understand the wife of Dr. Franklin Tao is here, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for being here, because I know it's been very tough.
Sherry Chen is also here.
Sherry Chen is here?
Yeah. And Amy coming.
Hi. Thank you. Sherry, she was actually the first case that we worked on where she was so unfairly targeted and arrested for being a spy for China. And it was just a terrible initiative at the Department of Commerce to just pick out Chinese Americans that had any tie whatsoever to China and then accuse them unfairly. But as it turned out, of course, there was no evidence for this, for Sherry, and we are still trying to make sure that she gets compensated for the damage that was caused to her. But what we want is for this never to happen in the first place. And that's why we called for an end to the China initiative. And, we met with U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland and pressed upon this. And guess what? Just a couple of months ago, they finally ended this terrible thing called the China Initiative.
And Professor Amy, who is here?
Oh my goodness!
Amy is here. And yeah, Franklin's
Oh my
wife.
goodness!
Yes.
These are Dr. An Ming Hu and Dr. Glenn Tao's wife, and you know, these are very, very brave people that fought their cases, and ultimately prevailed. So, and we will help in whatever kind of justice that you should get for the future. So, yeah. So we will continue to fight for justice for researchers like this who are so esteemed in their professions. But it takes all of you. It takes, you know, it took us on the inside, and it took all of you, the advocates, working together to end this terrible thing, to end the racial profiling of Chinese American scientists and engineers. You know, they think that we are easier to pick off, easier to pick on.
They are wrong.
No way. No, they should not be allowed to think that way. That's why we have to fight back. That's why we fought back with the China Initiative. And with your help, we can make sure that there is equality and justice for everybody. Thank you all very much.
Give another round to the Congressman Judy May Chu. Ever since she's elected to the Congress many years ago, not a single day has passed without her fighting for us in some way on some issues and for somebody's. And Judy just tirelessly working every single day and through her own office and then through KPAC, something that we all need to remember. What a great organization that our savior in U.S. Congress. One more time, round of applause.